All right, so picture the global economy right now. It's like this really high stakes game.
A showdown, almost?
Exactly, like two heavyweights.
Yep.
You've got the U.S. and you've got China, and, well, a big move just happened.
President Trump's tariffs.
Yeah, on Chinese goods. And they've shot up, I mean, really shot up. It was April 2nd, 2025, right? Up to 145%.
Jaw-dropping is the word. It's more than just a simple trade argument now.
Oh, definitely.
This could, fundamentally change things. Tariffs that high.
Yeah.
It's not just making stuff a bit pricier.
Oh.
It's potentially shutting down whole industry.
Right, and that's what we're digging into today, the potential impact on jobs in China. Could be massive.
An earthquake, potentially.
Yeah, think about all the things we buy. Phones, clothes. So much comes from China.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine the price of all that suddenly jumping way up. You can see how that sends shockwaves.
Right, totally. Like, take sneakers.
Great example.
Say they cost $100 to make. Now, boom, $145 tax just to get them into the U.S.
Who pays that? I mean, that's the question.
It makes it real, doesn't it? That sneaker example
Mm-hmm.
puts those Chinese factories at a huge disadvantage.
Right, compared to factories elsewhere.
Exactly. Places without those kinds of tariffs.
And look, this isn't happening out of the blue, is it? China's economy in 2025. It already had some real problems.
Serious headwinds, yeah.
We were seeing that shaky property market, the ghost cities, all that overbuilding.
A very visual sign of things maybe getting ahead of themselves.
And then the debt, local governments swimming in it.
Huge amounts.
Yeah.
Tied often to that same property development.
Plus, growth overall had kind of stalled, lost its momentum.
Definitely sluggish. And deflationary signs, too. Prices not really rising.
Which sounds good, but isn't always.
No, can signal deeper issues. Lack of demand.
And maybe the most worrying thing, youth unemployment, really high, double digits.
A crisis for young graduates, yeah.
Yeah.
Alicia Garcia Herrero, the economist, put it bluntly. The situation is clearly much worse.
That really hits home. So you've got this already stressed economy.
Like a ship taking on water, as you said.
Yeah. And then, bam, this massive tariff wave hits.
It weakens their ability to cope, absolutely. The housing issues, the debt, the job situation for young people. It all adds up.
Which is why we're doing this deep dive. We want to get a real feel for how many jobs might actually be lost in China because of this.
And what that means, for the rest of the world.
Yeah.
For you, potentially.
Yeah, what you might see. Cut through the noise, get some clarity.
Not just the big numbers, but the real-world impact. People, businesses.
So these tariffs, up to 145%, April 2nd, 2025, electronics, clothes, you name it.
That sneaker, again, $100, becomes potentially $245 at the U.S. border, just like that.
That's immense cost pressure for importers here and a massive hurdle for Chinese firms.
And it's not just the stuff you buy directly. It hits industrial parts, too, materials.
Right, so American factories using Chinese components.
They could face higher costs, too,
Mm-hmm.
which might mean, higher prices for things made right here.
Okay, let's go back to China's situation before the tariffs. The ghost cities. That image is powerful.
It really symbolizes that potential overshoot in the property sector. An engine sputtering.
And the local government debt tied to land sales, right?
A lot of it, yes. So when the property market cools,
their income dries up.
exactly, making it harder to pay debts, invest in services, it drags everything down.
And that slow growth, the low prices, deflation, that signals people aren't spending.
It can, yeah. They might hold off buying if they expect prices to fall further. Businesses struggle, cut back.
And that can lead to job losses, too.
It's a dangerous cycle.
Which brings us back to the youth unemployment. Double digits. Graduates finding nothing.
It's tough. And socially, that's a big deal, too. Disillusionment, lost potential.
And manufacturing, historically, that's soaked up a lot of new workers, right?
Precisely. And that's the sector getting hit hardest by these tariffs.
Makes sense. China's whole model was built on exports, selling stuff worldwide. The U.S. was a huge buyer.
The primary engine, really.
So slapping these tariffs on, it's like jamming a huge wrench in those gears.
Definitely. Larry Hugh over at Macquarie Group, he projected, an 8% drop in exports?
Yeah, 8%. And maybe a 2% hit to their overall growth this year.
Those aren't just numbers. That means factories closing, people losing jobs.
Let's make it even more real. Think about Guangzhou.
Big manufacturing hub, southern China.
Yeah, factories everywhere. Making everything. Lots of smaller places, family run maybe.
Totally reliant on those international orders.
And now their American buyers are probably backing off, saying, sorry, it's just too expensive now.
We heard that quote from a factory manager there.
Oh, yeah.
We're just hoping to survive.
Yeah.
Tells you everything, doesn't it?
Wow, just survive. That's desperation right there. These aren't giant corporations necessarily.
Often smaller businesses, kite margins. They can't just eat that kind of cost increase.
And the potential job loss numbers. Goldman Sachs did a study, right?
They did. Estimated up to 16 million jobs could be at risk.
16 million. That's hard to even comprehend. More than the population of lots of countries.
It's massive. And it's spread out about a quarter in retail and wholesale, they figured.
Makes sense. Fewer goods coming in, fewer people needed to sell them.
But manufacturing itself, too. Clothing, electronics, chemicals, big potential losses there.
And on top of the big tariffs, the U.S. also ended that de minimis thing.
Right. The tax break for small, low-value packages.
So even buying small things online from China gets more expensive now.
Adds another layer of cost, another reason demand might drop, especially for smaller online sellers.
It all adds up. And the ripple effects. Fewer manufacturing jobs means fewer truckers needed, fewer suppliers.
Exactly, it cascades. Like pulling a thread, like you said. The whole economy feels it.
So what's China actually doing about this? They can't just sit there.
No, they're definitely trying things. We saw that huge rescue package, $1.4 trillion.
Yeah, for the local governments drowning in debt, trying to stop a wider meltdown.
A major intervention. Shows how worried they are. And they're trying to lower borrowing costs, too.
To get people and businesses spending again.
That's the standard playbook, yeah. Trying to stimulate activity. Though how effective that is against these tariffs, that's debatable.
Something else interesting, how their export setup is changing. It's not all giant state companies anymore.
No, apparently private firms, often smaller, more agile ones, make up nearly half of exports now.
Wow. Nicholas Lardy called that a tremendous structural change. More market-driven, maybe.
Seems like it.
Yeah.
And those private companies might be better at adapting, finding new routes.
And they are looking for new routes, aren't they? Pushing self-reliance in tech, EVs, green energy.
Big investments there. The strategy seems to be innovate and sell to the rest of the world if the U.S. door is closing.
And it seems to be working to some extent. What was the figure? 86% of their exports go somewhere other than the U.S. now?
That's right. And the ASEAN countries in Southeast Asia collectively are now a bigger market for them than America.
Diversification.
Yeah.
Smart move.
A crucial part of their strategy to cushion the blow. Less reliance on one market.
But the risk of things getting worse, that's still there, right? Talk of the U.S. hitting goods made in, say, Mexico if they use Chinese parts.
That's a real concern. Further escalation. And China could retaliate too.
Like with rare earths, those minerals we need for all our tech.
Exactly. Jack Lifton warned the U.S. doesn't really have a backup plan if China cuts those off.
And let's not forget, China already has high tariffs on U.S. goods, around 84% on some things.
It could definitely spiral. Tit-for-tat measures are dangerous. Could really damage global supply chains.
Stepping back, this isn't just U.S. China. The whole world feels this.
Absolutely. Global consequences.
We could see higher prices here for everyday stuff.
Pass on from the tariffs, yeah.
And U.S. companies needing cheap Chinese parts, they're in a tough spot too.
It disrupts everything. Ben Steele even brought up the Smoot-Hawley tariffs from the 1930s.
Oof, not a comparison you want to hear. That led to disaster.
It's a stark reminder of the risks of protectionism historically.
And other countries are scrambling. India's trying to attract manufacturing, like Apple moving some production.
Offering incentives, yeah. But they face challenges too, like infrastructure bottlenecks.
Canada and Mexico got a temporary break on some tariffs, but who knows how long that lasts.
Right. And Vietnam's seeing a flood of Chinese steel as China looks for other buyers.
It's really shaking up the whole global trade map.
Creating winners and losers, forcing everyone to adapt on the fly.
But let's not forget the people in all this. That migrant worker, Li, in Guangzhou, facing job uncertainty.
Real lives, real families, their livelihoods are genuinely at risk.
Even here, we saw that slight dip in the U.S. economy earlier this year, partly businesses hoarding imports before the tariffs hit hard.
And the politics kicks in immediately.
Yeah, Trump blaming Biden for it. Always a political angle.
It's crucial, though, to remember the human side, behind the stats, are real people facing hardship.
So, can China recover? What are the experts saying?
It's mixed. Zulan at the central bank talks about incremental policies, careful steps. Louise Liu at Oxford Economics thinks they're basically on heightened standby mode, ready with more stimulus if needed.
Waiting in the wings.
Right. Some economists in China are even trying to find the silver lining. Maybe tariffs force innovation, make them stronger long term.
Interesting take. Optimistic, maybe?
Perhaps. But then you have skeptics like Ben Steele warning it could backfire, even for the U.S. It's really uncertain.
Yeah, no clear consensus, and this whole thing feels bigger than just economics, doesn't it?
Absolutely. It's a power struggle. U.S. versus China. China building ties with the global south, the Belt and Road.
And underneath it all, that worry about social stability in China if the economy really tanks.
Economic pain can definitely lead to social pressure. Adds another layer of risk.
So looking forward, it's still murky. There was that temporary easing of some tariffs recently.
Yes, but it feels more like a truce, maybe. Not a real resolution.
The underlying tensions are still there.
For sure. This is going to keep reshaping the global economy. We're still figuring out the long-term effects.
So let's sum it up. Key takeaway. These huge U.S. tariffs. A serious threat to potentially millions of jobs in China.
Across many industries, yeah. And while China's trying to counter it, rescue packages, new markets, it's a massive challenge.
And it's not just China's problem. Ripple effects globally. Higher prices potentially for you, disruption for businesses.
A real potential shakeup of global trade as we know it. No easy answers here.
It really makes you think about the people caught in the middle of all this economic strategy.
Beyond the numbers, yeah. Real lives, real communities affected.
Definitely. It's vital to remember that human cost.
Agreed.
So, the final thought for you to chew on. How is this whole conflict going to redraw the map of global trade and economic power in the years ahead? What kind of long-term changes will businesses, maybe even individuals, have to make to navigate this new world? Something we'll definitely need to keep watching.